Quoted words is one of the nonfiction signposts. When you notice an author quotes the voice of authority, a personal perspective, or cites another person's words, you gotta ask yourself, why was this person quoted or cited, and what did it add to my understanding of the story? Our first example is going to come from the movie Coach Carter, which is based on a true story. Pay attention to who gets quoted and what it adds.
What I gotta do to play?
Mr. Cruz, you do not want to know the answer to that question. Okay, Mr. Cruz. Before you can play on this team, you owe me 2,500 push-ups and 1,000 suicides. Oh, and they must be completed by Friday. Get into that, let's warm up. Give me a layup line. Give up, Mr. Cruz. Go home. Mr. Cruz, I'm impressed with what you've done, but you came up short. You owe me 80 suicides and 500 push-ups. Please leave my gym.
I'll do push-ups for him. You said we're a team. One person struggles and we all struggle. One player triumphs, we all triumph, right?
I'll do some. I'll run suicides too.
Fine. Let's keep count. Call me when they're done.
Did you catch those quoted words? Pretty smart. The player quoted the coach's words back to the coach about the importance of teamwork. Now what's the coach supposed to say? I guess I was wrong, and teamwork does not make the team work. Well, if he said something like that, he'd look mighty foolish and would probably be sabotaging his team. Take a look at this next video. Pay attention for the quoted words. When you hear them, ask yourself, why was this person quoted or cited, and what did it add?
Most people think of Rosa Parks as the first person to refuse to give up their seat on a bus in Montgomery, Alabama. However, there were actually several other women who came before her, one of whom was Claudette Colvin. Welcome, friends, to another episode of History Bits here with Mr. Westman. The following video shares an uncomfortable part of our country's history. If the topics of race and racism make you uncomfortable, maybe you sit this one out. But then again, maybe you shouldn't. If you are new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe, and if you enjoy content like this and you want to see more, please press that like button.
Outside is here and it rain. Where you go? Times are harder than ever been before.
It was a crisp spring afternoon in Alabama on March 2nd, 1955, when a 15-year-old schoolgirl refused to move to the back of the bus, 9 months before Rosa Parks' stand that launched the Montgomery bus boycott. In her racially segregated school, Claudette Colvin had been studying black leaders like Harriet Tubman, the runaway slave who led more than 70 slaves to freedom through the network of safe houses known as the Underground Railroad. They were also studying about Sojourner Truth, a former slave who had become an abolitionist and women's rights activist. These conversations led to discussions around the current day Jim Crow laws they were all experiencing, like not being able to eat at a lunch counter. Claudette is quoted, "We couldn't try on clothes. You had to take a brown paper bag and draw a diagram of your foot and take it to the store. Can you imagine all of that in my mind? My head was just too full of black history, you know, the oppression that we went through." End quote. When the bus driver ordered Claudette to get up, she refused, saying she'd paid her fare and it was her constitutional right. Again, Colvin is quoted, "It felt like Sojourner Truth was on one side of me pushing me down, and Harriet Tubman was on the other side pushing me down. I couldn't get up." End quote. The two police officers put her in handcuffs and arrested her. Her school books went flying off of her lap. Claudette Colvin's stand didn't stop there. Arrested and thrown in jail, she was one of 4 women who challenged the segregation law in court. If Browder versus Gale became the court case that successfully overturned bus segregation laws in both Montgomery and Alabama, why has Claudette's story been largely forgotten? At the time, the NAACP and other black organizations felt Rosa Parks made a better icon for the movement than a teenager. Today, Mrs. Colvin is a retired nurse with sons and grandchildren, often shying away from the public spotlight. However, several books have been written about her experience, including Claudette Colvin, Twice Towards Justice, and Claudette Colvin, Refuses to Move. Both books are appropriate for middle school kids and would make great additions to your nonfiction library.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964, which ended segregation in public places and banned employment discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, still required decades of legal battles to reduce even the most blatant examples of systematic discrimination. That struggle continues today. The struggle to end segregation was and is often fought by young people. Your voices are important, but only if heard, only if you have the courage to speak. You are never too young to stand up or sit down and make a difference. Thanks again for tuning in, and remember to be happy, stay healthy, and let's make some better history.
So who was quoted in this piece, and what did it add? I think you know what time it is. Just pay attention to those quoted words.